A couple months ago, my wife and I bought a house. One thing I guess we overlooked was the master bathroom. First of all, it's super tiny. Tiny. This bathroom is 7 foot 5 inches in length and 3 foot 11 in width. And that's including the shower. Yeah, it's not even 4 feet wide. Not to mention it's dated, so before we have the money to completely remodel this bathroom, I thought I'd rebuild the vanity so it's at least functional. I have a little over a year of woodworking experience, and I watch a fair bit of it on YouTube, so after seeing Brad from Fixes Build That build his own vanity for under $300, I thought I'd give it a shot. He didn't have any plans to follow, so I'll be making it by looks alone and the size that'll fit our needs the best. Now, I got some really nice 3/4 inch red oak veneer plywood from the home store, but to get it in my car, I asked them to cut it down. Well, I guess they haven't changed their saw blade in the last decade, and I got some pretty janky cuts. I'll start by ripping one of the pieces down for the drawer fronts and drawer sides, oversized of course, and labeling as I go using painter's tape. Adjusting my fence, I'll now cut 2 sides of the vanity, bottom panel, more drawer sides, and the smaller support pieces. Again, labeling each piece so I don't make an accidental cut through any of them. There will be 3 3-inch support strips and 2 2-inch support strips. I made and printed out a detailed cut diagram on SketchUp so I stay on track. Now it's over to the miter saw. A while ago I made this little housing to catch all the sawdust that this saw produces. It's pretty cool. It has a dust port that I added on the side for extra collection. While I'm still setting up this shop, there's no dedicated miter saw station, so I have to improvise for long cuts. Remember how I was talking about that extra cool housing for dust collection? Well, it's only effective if you turn the shop vac on. After an exciting free throw session, I move on to the crosscuts. I measure, mark, and set up my clamp edge guide to help with the cut. Well, that veneer is as thin as paper and chipped out everywhere. So I got smart and I used some painter's tape on the top to help with the chipping. And once again, chipped out everywhere. Alright, time to get serious. Quadruple layer painter's tape should do the trick. There, that's what I was looking for. In an effort to make painting easier down the road, I opted for some iron-on edge banding. I've never done this method of edge banding before, so I thought I'd give it a shot. Finding the color that matched, I proceeded with the darker one, which looking back now seems a bit unnecessary because I'm just going to be putting paint over it. I edge banded the bottom panel, one of the front support strips, and the two side panels, everything that's exposed. I debated on whether to leave this clip in or not, but I thought maybe you'd find it funny watching me struggle. Enjoy! I don't remember where I saw this method of trimming edge banding, but it looked interesting. And since I don't have one of those fancy trimmers that you run along the edge and it slices off the excess, I went with the file method. Time for pocket holes. Marking where you want to drill the holes will slightly prevent extra and/or incorrect holes from being drilled. I went with 2 holes for the smaller supports and 3 holes for the larger supports. I'm not sure the extra hole is necessary, but it just looks right to me. Setting up your jig correctly will also be beneficial. Marking the hole locations on the bottom panel, I try to be a bit more precise. Time for carcass assembly. Starting with the bottom panel, I set it on its edge, adjacent with one of the sides. These right angle pocket hole clamps I bought make quick work of the joinery. After attaching both sides to the base, I move on to the bottom support strip and the top supports. For added strength and stability, I added some vertical oriented strips under the top ones, since they'll be holding the weight of the sink. The front strip is set back the thickness of the drawer fronts. That's so I can add an identical fake drawer above the functional ones. To attach those added supports, I just measured, marked, countersunk some holes, and screwed them together. Now it's time to make the base and legs for this vanity. I went with the same style that Brad went with in his video, but the one thing I did differently was making my own 2x2s out of a 2x4. Making sure my shop vac is on this time, I cross-cut the 2x4 to rough length. After a few close calls and a lot of adjustments and shavings were made, I ended up with a bunch of boards that measured 1 3/8 by 1 3/8 inches. Sorting through the stack of boards, I found some with the least defects to use for the stretchers. All others will be used to make the legs. Another tip I gleaned from the video was to offset the back legs from the edge of the base to account for any possible molding that's on the existing walls in my bathroom. Setting up a stop block, I cut all the legs to the same length. And of course, waiting for the blade to stop, before I pull up the arm so I don't get any nasty kickback or damage to the legs. Now it's time for some tapers. I decided to start the taper on the leg 1 3/8 inch down from the top to accommodate the stretcher, and then a 1/2 inch in to give a subtle angle. I've never tapered anything in any previous projects, but I followed, you guessed it, Brad's plans for his extra fancy tapering jig. This was definitely my favorite task of the project so far, as you can really make a piece of furniture look interesting with a simple step. I filled all the voids in the 2x2 pieces with wood putty. Sanded them smooth. And then gave the small leg pieces a good sanding as well. Using an 1/8 inch roundover bit in my trim router, I hid all the edges and ends of the stretchers. Then flipping the trim router upside down, I safely clamped it to my workbench and routed the edges of the legs. I'm assembling the base with pocket holes as well. Each stretcher will get 2 per end because they'll all be attached to a leg. And remember a few minutes ago when I said, marking where you want to drill the holes will slightly prevent extra and/or incorrect holes from being drilled. Well, setting up your jig for the thickness of material is equally important. Whoopsie! The jig and drill bit were set up for 1.5 inch material instead of 1 3/8, so the screw just blasted through the end. The whole assembly was so loose, so I re-drilled holes in all the stretchers to proceed. After the base was all put together, I measured for center and added a middle support stretcher with some more pocket screws. The main structure is now complete. The next step will be painting, but we're not sure what color to paint it, so that'll have to wait till next time. I guess I'm gonna end it here for now. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. There will be more parts in the near future, so please stay tuned.